Welcome to the Candid Conversation Show. I'm your host, Marilyn Fontaine, artist and creative coach for women who want success and income with ease. Welcome to the Candid Conversation. This is Marilyn Fontaine, and today is Season 2, Episode 25. And it's the last episode of the season. Forgot to announce that last week. It wasn't until I was doing my newsletter that I realised it's 25 episodes this week. And rather than end the episodes next week, or the next 2 weeks before I go on my break, that would make it up to episode 27. Not going to look so good in terms of numerology and everything else. And so I think that it needs to end now, episode 25, and then we go into season 3. I was going to continue the episodes actually, because I just wanted to make the episodes up to 100 and blah, blah, blah. But I'm so aware of cycles, and the autumn season is going to be it's going to be the same thing, but it's in terms of format. I'm going to be interviewing a lot more people that have influenced me, that are making it, they're trailblazers, and they're people that are doing the work. And those of you who've been following me know I work with the seasons, and come autumn we will be going into the more ancestral realm, the inside, because it's a time to kind of like store all what you've created in the summer months, spring and summer, and you're going inside and you're nourishing, you're becoming grounded, you're connecting to the earth and the ancestors more. So it's a lot more internal work. So I want those people to reflect that, the people that I'm going to be interviewing. And also there will be some interviews with my clients as well. Will be really, really nice. But that's what we're going to be covering. So it makes sense to start a new season. The third season, and 3 represents the triple goddess. It represents creativity, communication, and so I really feel that the lineup that I'm planning will really reflect this. Will really reflect that in this. Okay, so today's episode is transformation and change. This is what I'm going to call the episode, transformation and change, because we talk about we're changing, but I really feel that we're transforming constantly. And that means, I always talk in the past episode about becoming the next version of yourself. And so our expansion goes outwards and then it comes back in, because we're constantly pulling information from outside. We're bringing it to consolidate with ourselves. And subsequently, we are going inside and bringing it out and experiencing our inside world externally. Getting esoteric, bear with me. There's a noise in the back. It's a air purifier. Because I'm in the basement. It is the 19th of July and it is the hottest day on record. It is 39 degrees at the moment, 100 and something Fahrenheit, okay. I'm just typing it, degrees centigrade. So, 102 Fahrenheit, 102. So, I'm in the basement because the basement is underground, and it is cool, but we haven't got much air. We don't have a window in this basement. So I have a air purifier, a HEPA air purifier. And so that keeps the basement cool. It keeps the air fresh, because upstairs there's no air. There's no air at all that is going around. So for me to be able to record this podcast and to organise myself and do the things I need to do, I need to have that machine on. So hopefully it won't be too distracted. So, transformation and change. So, at the moment, as you listen to this podcast, I am now undertaking a trauma-informed facilitation training I'm not going to speak too much about it because I want to give the part of myself that is learning and letting go of trauma, be it ancestral or birth or, racial trauma that I've had. I want to allow that to have its space to come out rather than talk about what I know, because in this space of learning and this course that I'm doing, this training that I'm doing, I am literally in it. And to be a better practitioner, to be a better coach, I feel like this work is important, because the trauma is manifested itself in so many different ways, and we can do a lot of thought work. Your thoughts do create your reality, but what happens is that we store those thoughts, or we store the effects of those thoughts in the body, and so that impacts the coaching to a degree, because we can get so far, and that's what's seen with my clients. They're getting far, they've got amazing progress, the things that they're achieving and the things that are coming towards them, especially the high profile ones that in terms of their place in the world, they're becoming. We all are becoming, but they're becoming, and they are going to be able to influence millions of people because that's the reach they have. And so it's such a beautiful gift to be able to witness people being great, but being authentic as well. For me, I'm getting, in spaces where I'm seeing a pattern happening with people of high achieving women that are, they work in social justice, or they may work in the media, but they've got a really strong ethical values. But along comes with those ethical values is, places where they're carrying ancestral trauma, or they're having to negotiate the trauma experienced by all the women that they're surrounded, or the women that look to them, especially because they're women of colour. And so I felt, especially with my artwork, my whole art project is around trauma and creativity and healing, and being in this space and coming out of a pandemic, this was more needed. This was so needed. And as a projector 6.2 in human design, we never go and search for major opportunities. They come to us. And this particular situation came to me. It was via my old coach, but she didn't say to me, you should do this. But a connection that she had and different things that had happened along the way brought me to this place just when I was speaking about it. Just when I was speaking about traumas and processing traumas and the different responses to traumas, and this happened to come about. During this time, I'm also having, it's the work of Tammy Kent, so it's pelvic care. So it's like working with your pelvis or womb space, and releasing any trapped and blocked emotions and trauma stored in the pelvis and the womb area. But it's not womb healing, it's literally the yoni, the womb, the pelvis, all around the base sacral chakra area. And it's quite practical in its how it's done as well, but with a heavy spiritual basis. And so this healing that I'm experiencing is really anchoring me back in my body, because it's clearing all the blocks, alongside this course that I'm doing. And so I'm unpacking, and I'm seeing the correlation and the connection. It's almost as if, when you get fractals and you get sacred geometry where things are weaving into each other, I'm seeing myself in this environment and the connection that the traumas of my generation connect with my clients' traumas and what they're going through. So everything is connected. And to make it more practical, listen to my Hermetic Principles and Business, because it will explain about magnetism and the different laws. How does this impact me as a coach and working with people? Well, what it does do, it allows me space to, I have therapy anyway, so I'm able to have supervision with my clients, with my therapist. But also this trauma space allows me to really take care of myself and to unpack, because there's nothing worse than working with your clients and then you're feeling overwhelmed because your clients are bringing up stuff that is a really different level. So I'll give an example. When I used to coach 4 years ago, I would have some severe issues that my client would have gone through. And I would absorb it, or I would clear it at the end, or I would do practices, create boundaries, protect myself with crystals, light and energy, journal afterwards, have a bath, have a walk, to discharge that energy. But what I wasn't aware of is that even though I was holding all this stuff and I was being really strong and I could hold it, I wasn't aware that there was a next layer of my own trauma that needed to be uncovered. And that didn't happen until after the pandemic. I would say 2021, when I started to do my weaving project, when I got funded by the Arts Council. So I did the weaving project, the art project, and the weaving brought situations, and I worked with plant medicine. It brought things up to the surface. They weren't affecting me directly, but it impacted me indirectly. And it created a series of events and patterns that later affected my life. Also going into menopause, you're revisiting the past. It's a rites of passage. And so what that does, it creates another layer that's been coming up from the surface. And so, whereas before I was disassociated to a degree, I dropped into a really deep level with my clients. But I hadn't done it from the view, the wisdom of the crone and the comfort and the safety. I now am in a position where I have a level of safety and glimmers, as you call them in trauma, like good positive experiences more so than negative. So now I'm able to see the bigger picture. I've stood away from the picture because I've got space to breathe, I've got space to rest. And so now I'm able to allow the things that were suppressed, because my identity at that time was trying to be such a good coach and learn all my coaching skills, where I've got my coaching skills. I've got enough history behind me of working with people and, direct transformation. But the deepness was the next layer for me, and the stuff that I put to the side. How can I look at that and create safe space within my body somatically? Like, how can I feel safe in my body? Because when I was coaching and helping my client, my clients had babies, they got married, they started their businesses, they've done all these things, which is amazing achievement for them and for me as their coach. So I've got, social proof. But what about the people that are now coming to me with stuff at such a level that part of me is resonating with them now? Because I've got my practice, my 10,000 hours of the skill, which we're always updating. But the part of me that was just concentrating on achieving skill is now can connect with those people who have the trauma, because I've identified within myself how I respond to trauma. So the part of me that locked away my trauma from my body somatically, I worked through it in my head, but somatically it was still in my body. Now I'm meeting my clients. When we say I'm feeling you, I'm feeling them now. Whereas before I would feel them and it would be from wisdom, be slightly detached, which is fine. But my own compassion for self is rising up. And that part of me that has been holding this trauma, so I didn't have to feel it, is now letting it go. And so, lockdown did that. The pandemic, menopause, All these things, I'm finally exhaling. Like that film, Waiting to Exhale, I'm exhaling so these things can come up. And that's why when some people have terrible relationships and they meet the man of their dreams, and all of a sudden they're crying and they're fighting this man because they're like, well, you know, I've never had this good treatment before. This is because we're in a place of, we're starting to feel safety that we've never felt before. And so stuff will come up. And so that's how I feel. I feel safe as a human. For the first time, I feel accomplished. I feel competent. But it's bringing up stuff. And so I have a space that I can share with other women and process that. And in turn, every time I come back from this space of safety and self-assuredness and self-confidence and just being or witnessing my process, I can be more available and compassionate to my client. And I can support the new person that I'm becoming. I find myself being more softer. I find myself being more compassionate. I find myself being more patient. Why? Because there's more space in my body. The block is being freed up. That's not to say there's not anger there, because when you get in touch with your power, you feel angry. But I'm filling myself up with myself. So this is a question for you. When you feel detached from yourself, ask yourself, where in my body am I feeling blocked? And what can I do? I really believe, as a former body worker, that body work, and not just massage, but really, you know, energetic and physical body work is so important when we are releasing and we're letting go of trauma. Movement is really important, but body work is so crucial. As a person that studied some tantric arts and Taoism, I was very, very blocked. And I thought I'd lost it forever. I thought I lost this juicy, succulent energy that I have. I thought I'd lost it forever. It wasn't lost. It was just blocked. And we have to continuously work on the unblocking. But it's part of the journey. And with me reconnecting with that part of myself that I thought was lost, I'm reconnecting with the modalities and the disciplines that, and the people and the authors and the therapists and healers who helped me the first time and second time and third time around. And those are the people that I will be inviting into this space. Some of them are crones, some of them are not. So they can share their wisdom with you. And this is what will happen in the autumn. Because I think it's really important, this pure feminine energy that we move into when we drop all patriarchy's bullshit of who we should be and how we should be when we pass our 40s. The wild woman is so important. It's so important. Everything else, that we can change our thoughts and we can feel better. But we still have to release the part of us that is trapped in our body. And that is us that is wounded, us that is hurt, us that is sad, us that is heartbroken. When we can move that through our body, we can allow the light to come in and the space to let whatever needs to come in to enable the next part of our identity to come and embrace us exactly where we are. So if you are a CEO and you've made your money and you've created your business and you are at a place where you know you're not feeling yourself and you know you feel like I don't know if I can do this any longer because I'm feeling burnt out. Check to see if you're not disconnected. Check to see if it's a feeling of self-connection, self-pleasure that you need to have in your life, instead of this feeling that you must really use your all your organs to get somewhere. The only place at this age when you're coming into the next part, so if I say from 37 upwards, is your heart and your womb, because you're moving differently, boo. You're moving with ancestors behind you. Your feet is not touching the ground, and so you don't need to utilize organ energy to move forwards. And this is why I always say it's really important to make sure that you work with the seasons, regardless of whether you believe in working with the seasons or not, is that you go with the natural energy of what's happening out there. Unless you live in a hot country and it's hot all year round, but there's still seasons. It's really important because it allows your body to rest and to direct you and to show you the best ways to turn. So think about that. It's quite deep and philosophical, but that's what my womb is feeling when it's free, because it wasn't feeling like that, the past few months. But it's a beautiful place to be. And I just feel that we need to be able to celebrate ourselves at every stage of our lives. Not this patriarchy bullshit of you get to a stage and then that's it. That is the most damage that they could have ever done to the goddess. And it's killing our society. It's killing our society. Especially when they're trying to control our wombs. And this is imperative while we get back to our medicine ways. And so, I'm going to finish shortly. But, oh God, coconut water. 103 degrees, can you believe that? I'm actually quite cool now. I'm starting to get goose pimples on my skin because it's a bit cool down here, but it's needed. So, the next season, this is the last episode, but the next season will be lots of different interviews. And I will be sharing that in my newsletter. So subscribe if you want to keep up with what's going to happen, because I'm changing the format of my newsletter. You're going to be sharing my journey with me, and I'm going to be offering insights, so it's going to be very insightful. And if you're on my mastermind newsletter, that's when you're going to get the more intentional business stuff. But I'm going to see, because I'm not planning for this too much with them. What I did do with my business is plan my third quarter. So I plan my business in quarters. And I did an alternative planning system, which I'm actually going to make my VIP offer. And I did it with cacao. So I did a protocol with cacao. Just microdose, just have it like in a smoothie or a hot drink. And just because it allows you to open your heart, it expands your awareness. So I used the cacao, and then last week I created a VIP day for myself, got snacks, got food, got wine, and I just worked with, I didn't get wine then, I got wine afterwards, but I worked with the Black Angel cards to find out what was going on with my business, who I was showing up as, who I was becoming. So I've done this before, but I wanted to do it in this space, and the cards that showed up was the ones in my newsletter. So the Weaver, the Spirit Guide, the Earth Mother, and I drew a Goddess card, and it was Durga, which was Boundaries. So it was really lovely that it was very much what my business is, bringing people together, showing people who they are, creating community, weaving different parts of the world or different customs together, working with the ancestors. And then the last part was when I did my last solstice circle. Oh, it keeps coming up again. My God, you guys, you ladies, you people. Let's be gender specific and politically correct here. So, did I say Pacific or specific? Anyway, in my workshop, boundaries came up. When I did work with the cacao before, boundaries came up again. And lastly, boundaries came up. And so, the spirit of my business is to weave people together, to be the spirit guide, because that was another card, and the Earth Mother, to celebrate and to create the customs of the earth. And then last is to create boundaries. To create boundaries because protection and boundaries. And this is how we're going to move forward. I've got a picture of Maya Angelou on my desk and literally smiling. So it just feels like she's smiling when I'm saying these words. And so that was the spirit of my business. And I realised I'm a unicorn. I'm not in the sexual term. I'm a unicorn in terms of my wonder and I love to be in a magical realm. That's what, I love. And so my clients are butterflies, unicorns. What's the other transformational creature? All those magical creatures. All of you guys that I work with are magical creatures. I could never... I'm sorry, guys, I'm not calling you creatures. But there's a similarity behind that. Like, they want to create the best for people. They want to help other people. But there's something magical about the people I work with. We're all magical beings, but there's some more than others. And that's my people. And so that's what I realised, is that these magical people that I'm working with. And so I part of this VIP session that I create is, what does each element represent in my business? So I go for a process where I did that. And again, it was just so in tune with where I was and what I am becoming. And so I was able to write out the plan for the next 3 months. I've got a VA on board. I've got the whole outline for the podcast, the VIP sessions. Obviously, this is going to be a package, which I've got already. And that is for people to book any time, well, within reason, because my schedule. But the VIP sessions are up and running, like the coaching sessions. But the VIP is just a whole day. So it's the same coaching with me, but you have like me for a whole day in a beautiful members club in London. Members club, hotel, house. Champagne all day, food provided for. You just get to work on everything of your business. But there's a week protocol beforehand where you have to work with the cacao to open up your heart, because this is about your heart's desire, the message of your business with your ancestors. And so so after I did that, I just felt so free. And then my uncle transitioned. So my uncle transitioned, but because I'd worked out everything in what I was doing with myself, I was able to give space to my family. And may he rest in peace. He's died between my dad's passing and my dad's birthday, so that is quite significant. But I feel really accomplished. I feel like I can just ease myself into the break. I'm planning for the next quarter. So by the time I finish in second week in August, to have my August break, I've planned everything. But not planned everything that's got to be down to the T, but I've planned everything, like prepare the ground. So I've seeded everything ready for the autumn. And I can just be present. But we always leave space for possibility. And knowing that we can change it and it doesn't matter. So that is what I've been up to. And when I look back on all the wonderful episodes that I've had with my guests, it has been just so magical. And so I will be releasing a couple of bonus episodes for you to enjoy. There might be reshares of the other episodes, or it may be me being in being in the podcast that I was years ago. Just a nice contrast. So I really appreciate all of you that have been listening every week, has been sharing. I know you got a lot from it. Please subscribe and rate in iTunes, or at least in SoundCloud. I don't know if you can. Yeah, I think you can in SoundCloud. So still follow me on SoundCloud if you can, and rate. Or if you can do it in iTunes, it would be good because it helps the numbers go up. But I don't get too much involved in that. I just want people to be able to find me. But yeah, I feel new. I feel expansive. But I feel back to my it's not old self, but back to the aspect of myself. I feel reconnected to the aspect of myself that had been lying dormant for a while. And with that being said, I want you to think about where you are and what do you want to plan for the next quarter. So that is, this was July, August, September. So I would have had things September, but so July, August, September. So the next quarter after this one. So we've still got 2 months. So what do you want to do for the next, July, August to September, end of September? What do you want to achieve in that time? It could be to rest. It could be to go on holiday. It could be to go away with your kids. It could be to organise yourself for college or uni. Whatever you're going to plan, let me know what you're going to plan for the next quarter. Until then, bye for now. You want to be part of an incubator of some amazing creative women, then you need to join the Highly Capable Creative one-to-one program with me. To join, you can just contact me at www.mjfontaine.co.uk and book a sales call with me to join this amazing 6-month program where we get to work on your creative business. We also get to work clearing your blocks and also bringing that confidence up to 100 so you can stand in your agency and live your best life.